What's going on, guys? Alpha the Wizard back at it with another video. Sorry it's been a minute, but I thought it would be pretty important to showcase an updated version of Yami Yugi's deck, or also known as the Pharaoh. As we all may know, the anime ended a long time ago. They never continued the original anime, I should say. The original characters ended after the first Yu-Gi-Oh anime. But they still continue to release cards for specific character archetypes, such as Yami Yugi, Grandpa Moto, and Little Yugi. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive in and show you my take on the Pharaoh's deck if he were to play today. So first we have Blackluster Soldier, the legendary swordsman. This is very much right up the Pharaoh's alley. He probably would have played cards like Chaos Form, as we saw Seto Kaiba did in the last movie. And then we have Magician of Black Chaos Max. This is also right up the Pharaoh's alley. If anybody would have played it, it probably would have been him or Arcana. And then we have Magician of Chaos. Dark Magician was the Pharaoh's signature card, so you know, if he's playing these other rituals, then this definitely makes sense. And then next, I mean, it just makes sense he would have played Illusion of Chaos and Chaos Form. So these cards definitely just kind of fit with everything else. So there's all one-ofs in this deck. I try to make it as close to how the anime would be as possible. But yeah, so there's those. And then I'm just going to kind of try to speed things along because there is quite a bit of cards here. Of course, we have the Dark Magician and the very nice quarter century secret rare. Now, if we all remember correctly, Battle City rules, if you beat your opponent, you take their rarest card, and Yugi, or Pharaoh, should technically have Arcana's Dark Magician, because technically he did win it, even though he can't really play it because Arcana shaped his Dark Magician's thinner so that he could draw them, so that's cheating. But then, of course, Yugi did, or Pharaoh did have Joey's Red Eyes in Duelist Kingdom. Given that Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is very much a card nowadays, it just makes sense for him to have this in his deck as a reminder of Joey. Then we have some cards that are really quite nice for Dark Magician archetype. Tamias, the United Dragon. This card is really good and it makes getting Dragoon out really, really easy. And then we have Palladium Oracle Mana, or Mahad, sorry. This card very much is right up his alley as the Pharaoh. Dark Magician's loyal servant, of course. But then we have Magician of Dark Illusion. Magician of Dark Illusion, just right up the Dark Magician archetype, but unfortunately we never got to see this in the anime, but he very much probably would have had this card. Some of these cards just make logical sense that the Pharaoh would have. And then we do have another one, Chronicle Magician. This is actually a really cool card in addition to his deck. It goes right in hand with Dark Magician. This very well could have just been a Seto Kaiba card, but I feel like either one of them can really play this. But then, of course, we have Palladium Oracle Mana. This just goes in with the Dark Magician archetype. And then Apprentice Illusion Magician. This also synergizes with the Dark Magician archetype, and I could definitely see the Pharaoh playing these. So next, we do have Dark Magician Girl. Of course, the Pharaoh had this in his deck. Also, one of my favorite cards. Dark Magician definitely is my favorite, but, you know, she's the girlfriend. But then we do have more of the core engine for the Dark Magician related archetype. Magician's Rod definitely is up the Pharaoh's alley. The super rares of this are so nice. We do have Magician's Robe. Not as powerful, but he probably would have had this if the anime was around now. And then we have Magician Souls. This quarter century secret rare is so beautiful, but definitely synergizes with the Illusion of Chaos and all that good stuff, as well as the Dark Magician. All one-ofs, by the way. And then we do have Magic Kuribo. It's kind of a modern day version of Kuribo, but specified for Dark Magician related archetype. And then moving on to some of the Dark Magician related spells, the Pharaoh probably would have played Dark Magic Circle, as it just goes right into the archetype. Piercing Darkness is another Dark Magician related card. These are all cards that anybody that knows the anime, the Pharaoh very well probably would have played this, as well as Magician Salvation. Very good card for getting Eternal Soul. It is unfortunate since there's all one-ofs. If you draw Eternal Soul, Magician Salvation isn't as powerful. Alright, and then we do have a few more cards for the Dark Magician archetype. We have Strength and Unity. Very well could have been a Seto Kaiba card, or if they were jointly dueling in modern times, this card probably would have came up. And then, of course, Soul Servant, one of the key cards of the Dark Magician archetype, or you can just kind of basically stack your deck legally. But then we do have Secrets of Dark Magic. This card is so powerful in this anime-related deck. I think this deck, with all one-ofs, it's not overly broken, and given, you know, other character profiles like this, such as Grandpa Moto with the New Millennium stuff, or Little Yugi with the Shining Sarcophagus stuff, all playing one-ofs as well, would make for a very fun format. Sorry, I kind of bumped the camera. Guys, I'm working with some new equipment, so I'm still trying to get used to it, so bear with me if the camera's a little shaky. We do have Magic Cylinder here. Cylinders, I should say. I did kind of mess up when I was playing this deck for fun against someone with the Shining Sarcophagus Little Yugi deck. I forgot to put the real Magic Cylinder in the deck, and this card doesn't really do much without this, so you kind of got to have both, but they're all one-ofs. And then Magician's Combination goes right in hand with the Dark Magician related things as well. And then a few more traps for the Dark Magician side of things. We have Eternal Soul, definitely goes hand in hand. And then Destined Rivals and Magician's Navigation. Honestly, the more I look at this deck, not only is it very pretty, but this deck seems like it would be very fun in related duels, or like a related type of format for the anime. All right, and then we're kind of moving on to the next archetype that, for the Pharaoh, I should say. We do have Joker's Knight. These cards are relatively new also, but yeah, and then we have Imperial Bower. Imperial Bower's, it's not a bad card. And then Arcana Triumph Joker. This card, all these cards are kind of nice, and I do like the concept of one-ofs for these formats, just because it makes being able to squeeze all these little mini engines into the character's deck to where their deck's just not like 100 cards. In addition to those, we do have to play some of the OG cards, and that's okay. So we have Queen's Knight here. They are alti, so, you know, maxing out some of the older cards makes it look a little nicer, and she is complemented by King's Knights. And then, of course, we have Jack's Knight. So these are OG cards. Anybody playing this deck that loves the anime will definitely appreciate this deck as all one-ofs. All right, and then we have Joker Straight. Joker Straight is a pretty good card for this archetype. And then we have Face Card Fusion. And then we also have Thunder Speed Summon. These all kind of just go hand in hand with this little mini archetype. But then also we do have a few more cards that kind of go hand in hand with this, Court of Cards and Joker's Wild. So these cards go hand in hand with the little mini archetype, and as I progress, I'm sure it makes sense why they all have to be one-ofs. All right, so next we have Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws. This is like the newer version of Gazelle, the King of Mythical Beasts, but they actually made it pretty good. And then we have Big Wing Baphomet, as well as Mirror Sword Knight. So they've added a few extra touches to this kind of archetype, and it is actually pretty decent and relevant in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! All right, and then just to note a few other ones, we do have Master Tao the Chanter and Cornfield Colts, or however you say its name. Honestly, I'm not sure, but these cards just fuel that little mini engine also, but they kind of go hand in hand with some of the other mini archetypes of the deck. And then, of course, to complement that as well, we do have Chimera Fusion. Chimera Fusion is a pretty broken card, if I say so myself. Sorry if you guys hear dogs barking. Not in an ideal place to record, but I wanted to get this done for you. And then I do have Overdone Burial. Now, he didn't actually play this. To me, it just makes sense because he did play this in the scripted duel that they do at Nationals with a voice actor. So I was like, that's like a perfect addition to the Pharaoh's deck. And then, of course, Polymerization. I feel like in this deck, this card just gets even better with the newer cards. It's not even really a dead card. There's quite a bit of fusions. But then we do have a newer card, which is Spellcard Monster Reborn. Spellcard Monster Reborn, it definitely fits with the Pharaoh, if I'm being quite frank with you. And then we do have a few other notables that I just have to include, and some people might disagree, but I think given this format is all one-ofs, this makes for a fun format. We have Card of Sanctity, the real version. Each player draws, so they have 6. But then we have Graceful Charity, and then we have Pot of Greed. These cards, given that it's all one-ofs and a deck might be a little thicker, these cards I feel like just help with the engine, so it's not just a dead game waiting to get started. Okay, moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck is actually pretty intricate. Like, we don't we can't afford just 15 cards because they've released so many more support cards. So we play more than 15. We have Arcana Knight Joker. He's a very good addition to the deck with the new Knight support. And I'm going to try to keep all the archetypal fusions together as much as possible. Next, we have Chimera, the King of Phantom Beasts, Chimera, the Illusion Beast, and Baphomet, the Mythical King of Phantom Beasts. These all just go with the Chimera support, given there are quite a few more cards for that. And then, additionally, we do have Guardian Chimera, and we also have Magnum, the Reliever. So these all just go with the Chimera supports. And then we do have Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This card is broken. If the Pharaoh gets this out, I feel like it's going to be hard to get around. Then, of course, the Dark Magicians. This is a fun card for the deck. It's not overly broken or anything. And then we do have Master of Chaos. Master of Chaos, I actually really like that card, but it makes this format just quite fun, if I'm being honest with you. And then we have Dark Magician, the Knight of Dragon Magic. This card is another really cool card for the deck and really easy to get out. And then we have Gaia, the Dragon Champion. This card easily brings this out, so you kind of have to play them together. And then, of course, we have Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. I do believe this was played in the anime, but yeah, it's real easy to bring out in this deck, especially with Tamias. And then we have Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. Same principle, very easy to bring out with Tamias. But then we also have Amulet Dragon, and if I remember correctly, he played this in the anime, so these are all pretty nostalgic. All right, and then we do have Quintet Magician, Dark Cavalry, and then we do have another Gaia, the Magical Knight of Dragons. Just kind of squeeze these in here. These are all just really solid fusions, real easy to bring out in the deck. Quintet is just kind of like a kill card. Also, we do have Mysterion, the Dragon Crown. This isn't necessarily designated for an archetype, but it's Spellcaster and a Dragon. So it kind of ties hand in hand with like the Gaia, the Dragon Champion stuff. And then we do have some Link monsters in here and XYZs. I guess I'll just lead with the XYZs. We have Ebon High Magician, and then we have Ebon Illusion Magician. So these cards just go real well with the Dark Magician stuff. But then, of course, we have Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger. So these are, you know, key cards for if you're trying to go into your extra deck for this kind of deck. A few Link monsters. There might be a few that's arguable that should be in here. But Arcana Extra Joker, and then Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior. So, yeah, no, this concludes the Pharaoh's deck. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, because I want to create more decks like this and essentially make this like a deck of just all one-ofs, like this one, maybe an Egyptian God one for Merrick, Little Yugi. I do have his that I want to show you as well. Seto Kaiba. They just released so many good cards for the new age of Yu-Gi-Oh! But yep, that's all for this video. Thank you all for watching. Alpha the Wizard signing out. Peace.